you would do it because everyone else around you was doing it. And I would just kind of like mimic and parrot what other people were saying and doing. So we found out that that farm was actually built over a Native American burial ground.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike.
So you're laying on your belly, staring at a rattlesnake, and you get one shot. You know, we got some info about you haven't been to church in a while. We were wondering if you want to see us. I'm like, how do you know where I live? Yeah, it when you don't believe in it and then you go and try to teach it, you'd be surprised how easy it is to convert people, even if you don't believe it.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by an inspirational Martian here today. From going on Mormon missions to fighting rattlesnakes under houses, one of the original teammates. Everybody, please welcome Bryce Smith. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, never thought I'd be asked to do it, but I'm happy.
Absolutely, man. And it's funny because Bryce asked me, like, what are we going to talk about? And I said, Bryce, you have such a crazy life. We have so much to talk about.
I was getting like anxious. I was like, man, my life really isn't that crazy. And then I started trying to think of stories, and there's some interesting stuff, and to other people it's probably definitely weird.
Amen. And I think everyone has an inspirational story, and that's why I left it open to creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike, because I can bring people on like yourself that have crazy stories that are so like out of the ordinary that people will probably see and be like, what the that's crazy. Like,
cool.
And I'm excited to get into this, man.
Thank you.
So
Me
thank
too.
you for taking the time to do this.
Of course, anytime.
So like I said, on Mars, we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. That's why I had to have you on, because I've known you since the beginning of my time out here. I actually met you guys, you and Marcus, at the same exact time. What was it? Cuesta Vida in 2015.
It was 15, nice.
2015. So it was a long time, like March of 2015 or April of 2015. It's crazy how much time has passed. And you found Theo, got me him 5 years ago now,
boy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listened to the pod before and heard us tell the story of when we found Theo, this is Bryce. This is the person that found Theo by the women's prison.
Outside of a women's prison, running through some farm fields.
So we are going to get into all of this here. So before we get into it, I just want to start off by saying you've always been a really good dude with positive energy, man. So I really appreciate having that energy in the friend group, because, you know, it's good to be around.
I can say the same for you. I was on the way over here. I was thinking, when the first time we met, I mean, so it was 2015. I had to have been 20 years old, maybe 21. And at that time, there was just no one else that had that, like, go get them. Like, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. Because I was just worried about partying and, you know, doing whatever. But you were a very focused, always driving people to be creative and stuff. So you were a unique individual that just like popped up into but you know, we're grateful for it.
Dude, thank you so much, man. That means a lot, for real.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You guys are my brothers. So
I
am. Yeah, it's cool that we can do this now. This is like a very full circle moment.
Oh yeah,
right
very
now.
full circle moment.
So
a lot of stuff leading up to, I mean, this setup is crazy.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man.
Hey, man,
awesome.
Long time coming.
Yes.
Here we are creating, doing all the stuff we said we would do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm talking about.
You called it out.
So before we get into things, I usually like to start with a little bit of background.
Cool.
So you grew up in Mesa, is that right?
Born and raised Mesa, Arizona.
So born and raised in Mesa, with the orange patch.
Orange patch. So kind of north end of Mesa, you'll see a lot of citrus and cornfields, and the house I grew up in was just smack dab in the middle of all that. And it was like Mesa. You'd be a mile away from just like a standard, you know, suburban neighborhood, but then you go down this hill, and then all of a sudden there's shrubbery and different type of plant life that is nowhere near other Mesa, because there was nurseries down there, growing a bunch of stuff. So I lived in like this weird kind of farm complex in the middle of suburbia.
Right.
And it just kind of felt like a different world sometimes.
Yo.
Yeah. It was, we had outside my road, we had warning peacocks crossing. Like you would just like drive down my road and there'd be a herd of peacocks just moving across the road. But it was an interesting time. And at the time, growing up in a farm, but in suburbia, like you don't really think about it too much. And then you grow up and then you meet a bunch of different people and you realize like, there's nobody that I really know that had that same kind of vibe growing up. You're going to have people out in, Midwest areas that it's pretty normal. But for Mesa at the time period I was growing up, it was definitely unique.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, having like a rural place in an urban area, that's insane. I mean, so then were you like working on the orange fields?
I mean, so I would do some picking sometimes, nothing too crazy, but it was more about just managing the property that we had around us. So my house was just kind of smack dab in the middle of a cornfield, citrus orchards around me, and then our family store, the Orange Patch, was in my front lawn. So you'd open my front door and there'd be a busy business with, basically like a fruit sorting factory, an auto shop, like everything that was like in my lawn. So it was interesting, but a lot of good memories from down there growing up.
So you kind of grew up around like an entrepreneurial family.
My grandpa and grandma, extremely.
Yeah.
They, I don't know the exact story of how the Orange Patch came to be, but I know in the, early 80s or mid 80s, that's when it started. And there was an original Orange Patch down on Lehigh Road in Mesa. And that area was called Lehigh before it was technically considered Mesa. So there's still Lehigh and Old Lehigh and Mesa, but I don't think like the cities or the states recognize Lehigh, but that's what it was called.
Right.
But it was a wild little area. My grandma and grandpa started their own little business down there. It became I remember when it became a Pokestop when Pokemon Go was going out, and then my mom it was a Pokestop. People would just sit there and start flipping and like, I got the gym at the Orange Patch.
That's amazing.
But then we opened up a second one called the Orange Patch 2. Well, I didn't, my family did. And just being raised around a business, my mother was running a business, since I was a little kid. So she was awesome, but very entrepreneurial, very headstrong in, the family business and stuff like that.
Yeah. So then I guess when you were growing up outside of that life, what were your passions? What were you doing outside? Like, were you playing sports and stuff as a kid?
I played golf. I was on a golf team for Riverview Golf Course.
Nice. As a kid?
Yeah, as a kid, yeah. They
awesome.
had like different age groups, and I was on one of those and did rugby for a little while. But
nice.
Mainly I was just video games as a kid and working on the farm.
Yeah.
That's all I really do. But like when you're a kid on the farm, you can just go off and wander in a direction. We had this massive quarry just outside of our property, and it was like probably a 50-foot cliff dropping down, and me and my cousin would put these little skis on our feet and just drop into these giant hills and go skiing down the dirt quarry and stuff. And I mean, we get in trouble for doing shit like that we shouldn't have, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, you can walk in any direction and do stuff, and we'd make potato cannons and launch them at stuff, like stuff you just couldn't do outside in the road, and it was kind of it would congregate for a lot of crazy, like kids at school would come up to me like, oh, I just went down to your property and did donuts, all Saturday. I'm like, yeah, we heard you. No, that was you. Thanks, man.
Oh, that was you, fucking asshole.
But me and my friends are doing the same stuff. But,
yeah. Yeah, I love that. It sounds like you had a very like 90s like lifestyle as a kid too.
Oh yeah, the first thing I noticed when I came into the studio was
Pokemon Yellow.
The Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy Color. I was like, oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, man.
Very, very 90s nostalgia, that even like my little collection, if I have a little thing like that, it's very similar to yours. Pokemon, that kind of stuff. Reminding of the good old days. But
yeah, man. Yeah, I got the Pokeball over here. That's actually a grinder.
Oh shit. Was not expecting that one. I thought it was like those old Burger King toys that would pop open, a little Pokemon would come out. But
no, awesome. My sister got me that one year for Christmas.
Hell yeah.
So
awesome.
But yeah, man, I love it. It's cool that you were able to have that type of life growing up and almost live that duality of like being in the city, but also being able to have like a country life.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I hate country music.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. I grew up on a farm. If I see somebody walking around wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, it makes me so mad. It's like, bro, you probably drive by farms, but like
do you even farm, bro?
do you even, bro, don't appropriate my farming culture, bro. like, come on. But I liken it to like if I just wore like a suit of armor and went outside and was like, I'm a knight. It's like, bro, you're not a cowboy. Stop. You're probably going to work at some, marketing firm or something. And then you put on cowboy boots to go out at night. But yeah.
Yo, you're not a real fucking cowboy.
Yeah. My grandpa, I mean, he was he passed recently. We went to his funeral and there was a photo of him. I don't know how old he was, maybe 8 or 9. And he's just riding a bull, and I'm just staring at this picture like, oh my gosh, what the crap? And never saw him in a farmer's hat.
What?
Just baseball cap forward, getting work done. I don't think he was ever about the aesthetics too much. He liked the bolo tie here and there, but never a cowboy hat. He never overplayed it. And I think that's what a lot of it is, just overplaying it for
sure. It's like the real cowboys don't dress like cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, if I saw that guy out in the, in the wild, and like, I was like, bro, do you even farm? And he's like, yeah, I farm. I'd be like, oh, sick. And I would be like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, wear that. But man, you like go out to, Mill or Old Town and people are like dressed like cowboys. Come on.
Dude, it's like a Scottsdale fit.
Yeah. Like... I think people just love the aesthetic. No hate to anybody who wears that, but don't wear it around me.
But we're just saying.
Don't
appropriate this farming culture.
Keep that in your own home. Thank you.
So then, with around that same time, then what was music and movies and TV? Like, what kind of influences? Or what video games? Like, what were those influences in culture that you were having?
Big into Nintendo. I said this to my mom that my Game Boy was my babysitter growing up because my mom was, working a bunch, running her own, running the business, running the family business. I was the youngest, so I was the youngest sibling. I was the last one to be at home before everyone got married and moved out. So playing video games was huge. Usually like Zelda, Pokemon, Nintendo stuff. Still play it to this day. It's just, it's hard to shake the habit. But yeah.
So good.
And movies and music. I actually, when I was in 6th grade, I remember Rami gave me a System of a Down CD.
Wow.
And I got that CD and I got a Linkin Park Hybrid Theory CD. And I started burning them because we had a bunch of empty discs and I would sell them on the playground.
Nice.
Yeah, I would sell burnt Linkin Park Hybrid Theory for like $1 or $2 or something, like a few quarters. I remember it because kids were like, bring me one. I'm like, the disc costs money.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I didn't even know it at the time, but I was just like, come on, man.
It's like, it's like, you guys, I got to meet my margins.
Yeah. But
profit and losses, I can show you my statement.
Oh, man. I didn't even do my homework. I didn't keep a statement. But yeah, so probably like heavy metal was kind of like the first thing I really liked was heavy metal. Then junior high, getting into hip hop, R&B, kind of more of that. But then early 20s, EDM.
Nice.
Drugs had a lot to do with that.
Festivals.
Things like that. Yeah. But yeah, back in the day on the farm, I would blast heavy metal in my ear. One time I posted a song on Facebook and my dad got mad at me because it was such heavy metal. And he's like, you don't need to post that on the internet. And I'm like, it was just a good song. I don't know.
Yo, triggered by the filth.
A little too much. I mean, he's into Led Zeppelin and stuff, but it's a little too heavy for him.
So then were you listening to just stuff that your friends were like showing you then? It wasn't necessarily like something like your family was playing movies or music all the time?
We grew up heavily religious, Mormon, LDS, whatever you want to call it. In Mesa, it's huge. So they were a little more picky about what we were able to watch. But like any Mormon kid does, you get around it. You go to a friend's house, watch it. parents don't know how to use the internet, so you can work around it. But yeah, so basically like PG-13 was like the limit in our household, and even then it was still a finicky subject if it was PG-13. But yeah, growing up religious definitely kind of stifled a lot of what other families were watching and listening to. It was more locked down. My mom gave us a little more freedom than most, but it was pretty locked down.
Yeah. So then in sixth grade, that's like 12 years old. So around that same time, you were still heavily in the church and all that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you at least for me, you would do it because everyone else around you was doing it. And I would just kind of like mimic and parrot what other people were saying and doing. People talk about feeling these great feelings or whatever. I never felt it. So it was just kind of parroting. And I think really until really my mission, going on the Mormon mission, is what really solidified that I did not believe like in any of it. Yeah.
So then when did you go on your mission then?
18 or 19 years old. I went to Austin, Texas and San Antonio, Texas, and down on the border. Learned to speak Spanish. It was that was great. That was a good part, but man, just really, when you really start reading it and studying it, because that's what you do on the mission, that's all you do. I was like, man, I don't believe any of this. Like it was, yeah, but I was already smoking weed, drinking before that. I was Jack Mormon, as they call it, but going out on the mission and teaching it to people and really understanding it and studying it more than I ever have, that's when I was like, okay, no.
It was hard for you to teach it when you didn't really fully believe in it.
But I still converted people. Like I was just kind of BSing my way through it, and I would convert people when I didn't even believe it myself. Like it was pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an interesting feeling to have, probably, when you're in it and you don't necessarily believe it, but you are kind of in a position where you have to spread the word.
Yeah, it's very much social pressure. So it's like honor culture almost. Like you honor your parents by going on a mission because that's what they expect of you, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't go on the mission because I really wanted to. I went on the mission because it was heavily expected of me from my family. So that could turn into a big disappointment, when you tell your family that you don't believe in it anymore. But yeah, it when you don't believe in it and then you go and try to teach it, you'd be surprised how easy it is to convert people, even if you don't believe it. I mean, there's a lot of slimy salesmen.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean,
that's what I was.
Like, yeah,
that's what I was, a slimy salesman. It's like I didn't believe in the product I was selling, but I was still selling it because I was pushing that product.
Yeah, good dope sells itself.
That's true. And the thing about a mission, and if anyone I know that's Mormon watches this, I apologize, but it's kind of creepy how they go about it. We had this giant map, like size of that wall over there, like maybe 8 feet by 8 feet, this map of just a few neighborhoods. And every single house, there was a pin that was color coordinated to that person who lived in the house. And then you would aggregate all that information, knocking on every single door, writing down little notes about that person, going home, putting a pin in the map about that type of person, and then sending that information to the heads of the church. So the heads of the church know way more about most people than they probably have any idea. Example, I left the church and I got home from my mission, left the church, moved out of my mom's house. All of a sudden I get a knock on my door. This is maybe 3 years after, and it's the missionaries. And they go, "Hey, is Bryce here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know where I live?" They're like, "Oh, we just, we got some info about, you haven't been to church in a while. We were wondering if you want to see us." I'm like, "How do you know where I live?" I asked my family if they told the missionaries where they live. And I was like, "No, we didn't." They figured out where I moved and sent the missionaries. So behind the scenes, they're like getting all that info, sending it to missionaries, going and doing stuff, giving them back the info. And so they know a lot more than what most people are. Yeah. They know a lot more than what most people think about.
It sounds like you're describing the CIA.
It's the dorky religion CIA. They're like, we got to get 10% of their money. We got to go contact them all. Another crazy thing is in the MTC, the Missionary Training Center in Utah, where you go and you learn like the basics of Spanish before they send you out. they would legitimately tell us that you need to find the people who are downtrodden and broken and all this type of stuff. And they would like kind of guise it as like, you're going to help them. But at the end of the day, people who are, low morale, needing a friend, needing someone to talk to are way more likely to be the ones to join a religion than like you, who's a very confident,
Right.
hardworking guy. They don't want nothing to do with you really, because they're like, it's gonna be hard to convince that guy. So you usually go to low income areas, and then that's where most of the conversion happens.
Damn.
So Cedar Park, Texas is a place that I was at, very wealthy, and I think there were no conversions in that area for almost 2 years. So missionaries were working that area for 2 years, no conversions. I go down to the border where things are not so nice, and people need a lot of, assistance and help. And it was like getting people left and right. Just the lower the income, the more downtrodden the people are, the more likely they are to convert to a religion. And that's the people they send you to. And then at the end of the day, they're like, crazy. You need to get 10% of their money. Yeah. 10% of their entire income.
Like 10% of their money that they don't have.
Exactly. But then
all these people that are low income that have $2,
yeah,
10% of it.
They'll say, the blessings will come. Like that's like what their reasoning for it is like, oh, you show God or Jesus or whatever that you're willing to sacrifice that. And then the blessings start coming through. I'm like, oh. So you have to pay God before the blessings start coming in. He's not just going to give you the blessings because he loves you. He has to have 10% of your income. And it even gets to a point where you go into the temples. Do you know what like a Mormon temple is?
Mm-mm.
So they have one in Mesa. And you get literally like a membership card to be able to go in the temple. And if you don't pay 10%, you can't go into like the holiest place. They consider it the holiest place on earth. So you have to give 10% of your money to get all of the blessings, basically. Yep. but
I could see how this is so controversial.
Yeah. Well, it's and there's not really a lot of churches that do it like that. The Mormons are unique in that strict number. Like, so it's not all religions, but the LDS religion for sure is definitely more geared towards that.
And LDS is Latter-day Saints?
Latter-day Saints, yeah. That's like the full name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but everyone knows them as Mormons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy because it's funny because out here there's a lot of Mormons.
Oh, yeah.
And in Grand Rapids, it wasn't as heavily populated Mormon culture. Mm-hmm. So whenever we did see Mormon, it was like almost like seeing like a rare breed of animal, It's like, oh my God.
They are a rare breed of animal in some parts of the world. But here it's just the norm.
Yeah. And yeah, I was going to say, it feels like I meet a lot of people that are just from that religion, even if they aren't necessarily practicing it now today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So then you talk about how like you already started like smoking weed and drinking before you, I guess, left the church. Mm-hmm. So what was that like in your family? Like, I'm sure it was a lot of hiding and a lot of sneaking behind backs and stuff like that. Or how did that work?
And honestly, I miss it sometimes because that's when like you would get tripped out the most. You like sneak in at night. Yeah. So I grew up on the citrus farm, and I would, smoke blunts with my friends in high school, and then I would pick an orange off the tree, eat the orange, take the orange peels and like rub them on my fingers to get like the blunt smell off your finger. Like I would do that before walking inside and stuff. I've never been a guy that gets like super fucked up. Like I'll smoke and I'll drink, but like I never get crazy. So I was always able to like lock it down even at a young age. Like, no, yes, mom. Have a good night, mother. Like all that kind of stuff. But no, I never got caught. There was one time I came home hammered, just drunk. And I must have woke up in the middle of the night and puked all over the living room. And it reeked like vodka. And my mom, my poor mother, she's a wonderful woman. She was like, "Are you drinking? Are you?" I was like, "No, I must have I don't know. I must have puked in my sleep, or I don't remember what I said." I just remember because we got up Saturday morning to go work on the farm doing lawns and stuff. And I'm just hungover 16-year-old, just working on the farm. And my mom is just like giving me the side eye thinking. That was the only time I came close to getting caught. And even then, I still think she probably didn't believe me, but I was
For sure not.
I stuck to my guns. I was like, I did not drink, but I was hammered. I was probably the drunkest I've been in my life. Puked all over my family's living room.
Yo, and she for sure knew, and she was probably just like, "I'm just gonna let him have it."
I think she wanted to not believe it more than anything.
Yeah,
but no, yeah. But sneaking around the whole time, if I ever brought up that I was smoking weed, I probably would have been sent off somewhere.
Yeah, like to like a boot camp or some sort.
They have like ranches where like that's Mormon owned, where you're a trouble kid smoking the devil's lettuce, you can send him off there. And
oh shit,
I still to this day think a lot of my family members view weed as like a hard drug, like not just like a nicotine or a caffeine or something, but like I think they view it pretty similar to the hard drugs, you know.
So ever since you left the church, did you ever have the same relationship with your whole family as you did before? It
was rocky. I would say that our relationship now is better than before. But good. Right after I left the church, it was rocky. You know, you could tell that because you don't know what they're saying when I'm not around, because I kind of left the family for like 2 or 3 years. And I would, I'd show up, every few months or so, but there was like long periods of time with just no communication with my family. And then started getting better jobs, stabilizing myself, becoming, an adult. And I think they really saw like, okay, this guy's not some freaking drug addict.
Yeah.
It was just weed, a little bit of mushroom, a little bit of acid.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You still had your head on.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. And that's like
thing.
What I was trying to get them to see was like, look, it is not what you think it is. Time and, just loving each other. It kind of evened itself out.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm sure once they, like you said, started seeing you do better in your life, they supported you, just supported you, more so than they just like didn't support the weed shit.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, well, he's doing really well for himself, even though he's smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this one time my rent was like $450 at that time, like at this time in my life, maybe 22, 23. And, I had lost my job because my entire department got cut.
Damn.
And at this window company I was working at. And I just needed help with 1 month of rent, $450. And I remember I called my dad and I was like, Dad, I'll pay you back. I just need help for 1 month until I get my next paycheck from this new job I'm starting. And he said something along the lines of, it's like, if we give you that money, we're just supporting sin because you spend money on weed or something. I was like, okay. Goodness,
I'll never ask for money again.
It's pretty wild. It was a pretty wild one. I remember I was sitting on the curb outside, like panicking, just like so stressed because I needed $450. Now that's hilarious to think about. I needed that, but
right.
I remember sitting on the curb just after that phone call, being like, "I'm alone in this world.
Yo,
I have nothing." But it all worked itself out. I had Trevor, our good friend Trevor Wallstrom, he was a really solid support during that time. Marcus and Brandon across the road.
Yep.
I would go over to Marcus's house and knock on his door and be like, "Can you feed me? Like, I don't have anything."
So these were Cuesta Vida days.
Cuesta Vida days, yeah.
Wow.
When I met you, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Damn. So that was your early 20s then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was shortly after you left the church. So then I want to get into that. So did you go to ASU?
No, never went to college.
But you hung out with all the guys.
Yeah, I partied at ASU.
Okay.
I never went.
So then you were working when they were all in college.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full time working whatever job I could really find. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So then I guess I wanna kind of talk about like the teammate crew, because that's a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
And you've known those guys for some time. When did you meet Marcus and Caleb and Trevor and all those guys?
The first guy I met was Rami in elementary school. We went to elementary school together, but we were never like close, but we were friends. In high school, I met Trevor Wallstrom day one of high school. Friends ever since. And Marcus, I kind of knew him from junior high school, just like passing by, saw the guy. But we started working together at Dairy Queen.
Oh, right.
And we would be a menace, bro. I'd smoke salvia.
Oh my god.
at Dairy Queen. Like
on your 10-minute break.
Bro, before I walked into work, like I would sit in my Suzuki Samurai, I ripped a bowl of salvia. I held it in as I'm walking to the door, blew it out, and then I'd open the door to work and just
Dude, just vibrate for 15 minutes.
Dude, it was wild. Like I couldn't
Holy.
Yeah, but I got promoted up to, a line cook. So like I was doing something good. I went from, making blizzards to flipping burgers. So I did something right there. But yeah, that's how I met Marcus.
That's amazing.
We would make up choreographed dances as we were closing, like cleaning with like mops and like doing dances and stuff. But so I met Marcus that way. And then just ever since then, we're all friends. Like it just morphed into a ball of like 14, 15 guys all of a sudden. And then we haven't been able to separate since.
For sure. It's been like fucking, what, like 20 years?
20 years, yeah.
Like,
I mean, I got a matching tattoo with 9 of them.
Yeah.
So, we got matching tattoos, yeah.
Yeah, anytime I talk about like the friend group, like the teammate crew is what I always refer to it as.
Teammates.
And I just like say it's like the most solid friend group like that I've ever met.
They're good guys.
That's crazy. Like, and they're all like so supportive of each other. Yeah. So I love that you guys do things together. You stay in contact. You have a yearly football league, fantasy football league. That's like high stakes.
Very high stakes. Tattoos and thousands of dollars on the line.
Yeah. So it's I love that so much, man. And I think that's really important to have that support group.
And Marcus, kind of the center, the core of it, he's good at rallying people around him. So a lot of that credit goes to Marcus. He's like our PTA mom of the friend group. He organizes stuff. I mean, the parties he throws is like the pre-draft cocktail mixer. Like he names our hangouts. Like we can't just like hang out. We have to have a name to hang out. Like it has to be an event. It has to be a party. We can't just like go chill on a couch.
That's like the most Marcus shit ever.
So our buddy Sam is getting married and we are doing a choreographed dance at the wedding. And instead of just saying, "Hey guys, let's meet at Bryce's house for the wedding," he's like, "All right, let's get ready for the Sam's pre-wedding dance rehearsal mixer and cocktail hour." Like it can't just be like, "Oh, let's go practice this dance at Bryce's house." Like, so Marcus was a big reason for that. Just he's a good glue guy holding things together.
For sure. He's always been that guy. Yeah. And it's cool that like I was able to directly connect with him when I did, because he was literally the door to all of you guys. Yeah. And that's like, I mean, that just plays right back to what you're saying, where like he's really good at like bringing people around. It's just like
solid people too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He is a good judge of character. Yeah. He definitely has that radar that I think a lot of us share. But
hell yeah, he's friends with us.
Yeah, that's right, bitch. Yeah, dude. No, shout out Marcus, teammate Marcus.
Teammate Marcus.
Yes.
This better do better numbers than his.
Yo, I don't know. Marcus has been on 5 times now, dude. Shit, dude. Yeah, yeah, man. So the crew though, I needed to talk about the crew, man. And early days too, like you guys were, because Marcus started recording in those days, like for real.
Oh yeah. So for real in those days. But on my mission, he was recording in his closet, and we would have like code names for marijuana and stuff because they could be vetted by people. But he would say, "I'm sitting in my closet studio writing some music. Hope you're doing great on the mission, buddy." And then came back, got in the closet, recorded some songs with him.
Wow.
But yeah, so it was fun. Yeah,
man. So you were recording with him back when he was in his closet. Like, yeah.
So we make some silly songs together. You've been around some of the silly songs we make.
For sure.
I remember the first one we made as a group was about Call of Duty zombies. And because that's what we were, just getting stoned and playing zombies all the time. And then we just went into the closet and made a song. And what is it now? 13 years later, we're still making songs together.
Yeah.
Like professional songs in studios.
Yeah, except now it's recorded in a professional recording
Sounds
studio.
better than a lot of up and coming artists I hear. It's just us goofing around in a studio. Sounds a lot better, but it's, it was a fun time. Very creative. And that's the other thing, you and Marcus just mesh together because you guys are just so steadfast on creating. Like even just sitting on the couch and watching you two go back and forth, making that music. I mean, it was fun. That's what got me into Glassblowing, was like, you guys were always, do something creative. You got to get an outlet. You got to do something creative. So, those are the teammate crew is a creative bunch of fun guys. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Dude, likewise, bro. I love the fact that I was able to come in and like find this crew and stay with this crew for the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because like I didn't make any other like real friend groups like that the entire time that I've lived here. And it's like, cause I never felt like I needed to.
I mean, when you tell people,
so sick.
When you tell other 31-year-old guys, it's like, yeah, me and my 14 friends got an Airbnb for like the second time this year. They're like, what?
Yeah, dude. Like, it's like I haven't seen 14 of my friends in the last years. It's like, what the fuck?
It's pretty fun. It's pretty unique, but a lot of the, you know, I think the, you know, friends are way more important than people. Like, people obviously think friends are important, but like when you're on your deathbed, you're going to remember. It's not like, oh, my business was booming. It's like, it's like all the fun times you have with friends. And that's what I value a lot. Like a bachelor party, we just went up and stayed in a snowy cabin for 2 or 3 days. And it was just the best time. And we didn't do shit. We literally just sat in a cabin, but it was still great just because those guys are a bunch of wild fuckers.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. And I needed to bring them up. And you guys were on the cover of Friends.
Oh yes, the album. Yes,
the album cover for Friends.
Yes,
Teammate Marcus
recreating the iconic milkshake photo with them.
All the cast. Yeah,
yeah. That's when like you know, Marcus was first starting, and I think we were a little too involved, but it was still so fun. Like we did a show one time at the Mesa Convention Center where you were DJ and I was filming it.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
I still go back and watch that video being like, man, that's fucking crazy. That's a crazy video. That was a crazy time.
It was man, yes. So Marcus got invited by some kids one time. I don't even remember how we knew these kids.
I don't know. They must have been high school kids. They were high school Marcus.
Yeah, high school kids we went to Mesa High School and they were fans of Marcus when he was teammate Marcus. Mm-hmm. And they asked him to perform at their birthday party,
which was it was a huge birthday party.
Their parents rented out a convention center for like 100 kids
and Marcus.
Yo, so Marcus and I roll up and we literally just roll up, set up, play the show, and dip.
Yeah,
like,
we literally did.
All we did.
We got on stage, did the shit, got off the stage.
But it was so surreal. Like these kids were so stoked,
hyped. I mean,
they were more hyped than like some of our regular shows.
There's a part where I'm filming and it's slow motion and it's just, you can really see all these kids' faces. And I was like, man, these kids were into that shit. I was like, I had no idea what I was getting into. I think Caleb couldn't film that night. So like, Bryce, get the camera, go on stage, film it. I was not expecting like that response when Marcus got up there. It was pretty wild.
Yo, yeah, I think that was one of the first shows that I was like DJ, like official DJ for him. Because then we went on to do like Juicy J. Yeah. Shortly after that. Yeah. And that Juicy J Belly show.
That was a fun show.
Dude, yeah, you were around for all that, man. And like to your point about like the teammates being involved, I think that was like a really big part of that almost the engine of Teammate Marcus. Because it's like that kept him excited about it. And also it was like it was easy for him to step away and record stuff because you guys understood that was important. Yeah. And like because you guys lived, there's like 4 people that always lived in that house.
Oh yeah.
Like in the
rotating teammates just in that same house.
Exactly. So it's like to be an artist and be in a house full of people that don't support the vision, that's hard. Yeah. But to be in a place where every single person that walks in that house is putting on for you, like that was the money. That's the reason why Teammate Marcus, I think, ended up being, going so far because he had the support system that he did.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy to. I mean, he's talented.
Super talented.
I don't want to talk him up too much because he's like a brother at this point, and I usually shit on, family. But, if he genuinely sucked at music, we would have told him. But that never at any point we were like, bro, that's bad. It was always like, this is really good.
Right. Like, even we were making shitty songs.
We would laugh at just how good it sounded sometimes. We're like, it should not be this good. We were way too drunk. We're way too high. We're rapping about stupid shit. Being pirates. We're rapping about how we're pirates on the 7 seas. Why does this sound so good? The day El Chapo got arrested, me, Sam, and Marcus were sitting on the couch and we were like, we should go make a song about El Chapo. And I play it for like a coworker or something. And they're like, that sounds like a real song. I'm like, we were high on Sunday morning and El Chapo escaped. Like, that was it.
Yeah, dude. So that's a very good point where it's just like, it was good. Like the product was good. So it's easy to support.
Easy to support. And,
Yeah.
you know, Marcus is hard to, his energy and stuff just really gets you involved as well. Like you're part of the vision, you're part of the thing. And he did make everyone feel like they were a part of it too. So
Absolutely.
it was nice.
Yeah, man, for sure. I strictly remember like a lot of sessions where there was just like probably 8 dudes in the house, and we were just spitballing ideas.
Yep.
And like that's even where we made a note that we've referenced one time on the pod, and it was the crazy name list. Do you remember that? Or like the funny name list?
Maybe.
And dude, who was there for that? Because I know for sure it was me, Marcus, Ricky was there for sure. Somebody like Klug wasn't there because we called him while we were on the pod and asked him if he remembered.
Klug would be good at getting, funny names.
He didn't remember, dude.
Oh,
he didn't
man.
remember. But like Jackie Taxon, Tacky Jackson.
Okay, now these are starting to ring bells.
And yeah, it was fucking Cliff Pender shot.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Okay, the Cliff Pender shot. Yeah, that's the main one.
We were coming up with all these names, and it's just like little shit like that. We were trying to write a cartoon back in the day, like the whole team was like so involved with everything.
Yeah.
And even the people like yourself and like Sam Camp that weren't necessarily like creative people. Yeah. They were like, you guys were still doing what you could. Yeah. And helping where you can.
But like like being around that, like I said, that's when I started glassblowing, was because of that. And that, I found something that I was good at that I picked up very quickly. But I don't think I would have ever done that if I didn't see people around me, picking things up, like you with your music and, Marcus with his music, and not even just music, like you graphic designing, all that kind of stuff. Like you sit back and you're like, man, I just go to work and I just, go home and hang out. So that just being around you guys pushed me to find a creative outlet, which happened to be glassblowing for a while.
Dude, let's talk about glassblowing for a little bit, man, because that was a point in your life where you were serious. You had a spot at a glass shop,
and then I made my own in the garage.
Right.
And it is one of the most taxing, like physically, art forms there is, because it can be like 120 degrees around where you're working, and then you open up the kiln and it's thousands of degrees.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It's one of those things that you can't make it a hobby. Like if you're gonna glass blow, like it has to be your life. Yeah. And it's because it's high investments to get into it. It's taxing and time consuming, and it takes days and hours to just get like a small thing done. And it was really fun, and I'll always be grateful to glassblowing, but I couldn't keep up with it. It consumes your life, and that's why when you see like a successful glassblower, it's all they can be is a glassblower. Right. But it's still one of the most. It's considered a dying art form because there's like a certain number of people that don't do it anymore, so it's on the decline. So go out and buy a torch and glass blow.
Absolutely. And have you seen the show Blown Away?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love that show.
It's a great show.
It's such a good show. I think they did a really good job with it. Yeah. The announcers are kind of corny.
Yeah, they will be for those shows. But
yeah, the artists are so fucking talented.
There's a documentary about glassblowing called Degenerate Art.
Okay.
And it goes over the history of glassblowing. And in the 90s, glassblowers were being tried as terrorists for blowing glass pipes. Wow. It was wild. So that's why Cheech and Chong got arrested. It wasn't because they had weed. It was because they were selling pipes, and he got arrested as a terrorist for selling pipes because they said it enforced purchasing drugs from the Middle East. And so that's why they put him in jail. So from the early 90s to now, it's crazy how, vastly different it's got. But Degenerate Art goes over the history of it quite a bit. People did not like glass blowers.
Wow.
it was
especially
bad.
Like pipe blowers.
Yeah, pipe, but
because people were still blowing like museum glass.
Yeah. That stuff never goes out, like Venetian style glass blowing never goes out of style. But like you put a bowl on it and you're a terrorist.
Yeah, if you could smoke weed out of it.
But like you could smoke tobacco out of it.
Right.
So. But yeah, glassblowing was an interesting thing, and that that also just learning about the history of glass blowing and how closely associated it was, at least American glass blowing,
Yeah.
with the drug war, and the drug war trying to stifle just your average glass blower. It's pretty wild. But Degenerate Art's a great documentary about it.
That's what it goes into that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yo,
Goes over
when did
like
that
the
come out?
first
Is that-
bubbler.
like
I
an
don't
old
know.
one, or is
It's
it?
got to be like 15 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it goes over Bob Snodgrass, who was kind of the father of glass pipes. I think he's accredited with actually making the first water bubbler, like a handheld water bubbler.
Mm.
But it goes over like his journey following the Grateful Dead, evading
Wow.
cops, blowing out of a van in a parking lot somewhere, selling it at Grateful Dead shows, and then
Yo.
becoming like the godfather of glass blowing, Bob Snodgrass.
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put his picture up right here.
Oh, yeah.
So people
Good
can see
guy.
what he looks like.
Good guy.
Dude, so he would pull up to the with the case or
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
He was the OG guy doing that. Now you can
Yeah.
find that, all over.
It's like the classic.
Yeah, yeah. And so he was the guy that literally started doing that. And it also accelerated the Grateful Dead culture around like, I'm gonna follow this band, I'm gonna do this. He was a big part of that.
Damn. So where's Theo? He's just like walking around. I'm fucking seeing the light change in the room.
He's a good boy.
So speaking of Grateful Dead,
Yes.
I want to talk about psychedelics.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about psychedelics
Yes.
because I think with psychedelics, it's kind of a taboo topic for some people. And I think it's because they don't quite understand them enough to be able to talk about them.
Have absolutely no idea at all what it's like to trip.
Yeah.
I heard someone say it's like describing a television to an ant. It's like, like there's no way you could possibly tell someone what a psychedelic experience is like. There's no words to describe it. But coming from a heavily religious family, I tried to describe to my family what it's like, and I don't think that helped at all. They probably thought I was some loony fucking psycho hippie. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You feel. You're like, shut up.
Yeah. It's like, oh fuck. This
Like,
actually worked.
No, you don't understand. You actually feel love. Shut up, Bryce.
Shut up, Bryce.
Shut up, Bryce.
So I wanted to talk about like psychedelics and how it kind of changed your life and like and I guess like what it meant to you and like because it was a big deal in your life.
Yeah, so it's kind of beaten, a lot of people talk about it. It's kind of like a dead horse at this point, but everybody has things that happen, especially like in childhood, that can be pretty traumatic, or no understanding. There's no resolution to maybe like a big event that happens in your childhood that should have some sort of resolution or closing. And that's what I think mushrooms really help with, is kind of closing loops, like finishing things that might be going, things that you need to work out, but there's not necessarily a tool to work it out with. And with mushrooms, that was a big one, helping to come to a resolution with yourself about things. And that's what psychedelics are really good about doing, which is why it's like so wild. People have so many opinions on psychedelics that have never done. It's like, you have no clue what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
you have no idea. But and see, even trying to describe that, it's like, oh, it's like resolving things. It's closing. It's hard to describe, it's like, I don't want to say it's therapy, but it feels like therapy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially with mushrooms. And I think that's a great one to kind of start with, because a way that I kind of explain to people sometimes, because like the acid and mushrooms thing, like that's the biggest thing where people don't understand that those are two totally different substances. Yeah. And they think it's like you're tripping. A trip is a trip is a trip. Yeah. No, not true.
Yes.
And it's just like there's so many different ways about it. And I always explain where like mushrooms are internal versus acid is external.
Yeah. Acid is branching out. Mushroom is going to the roots.
Yeah. Ooh, love that.
Yeah.
It for 100%. And it's like the mushroom thing where you're talking about like closing loops. It's almost like things that are inside of you that you haven't fully worked through.
Yes.
And that might be giving you anxiety and you don't know it.
Yes.
And it brings it like right here.
Yes.
You can't get away from it.
You cannot escape it. And I mean, it's crazy, so bringing back Mormonism again, but a lot of people, so a lot of LDS kids that I know that had drug problems tended to be like pills and prescription. And there's a growing movement in Mormonism for iboga or ibogaine.
What is that?
It is a psychedelic, similar, I would say, more maybe on the peyote side of things.
Okay.
Maybe even kind of dipping into the ayahuasca side of things. But these Mormon families are sending their kids to these treatment centers in Mexico to go trip their balls off with ibogaine to get rid of their pill addiction, and such a high rate of success. Yeah, iboga is crazy because it's not talked about, it's not popular, but there's these clinics popping up, and a lot of normal suburban kids are getting sent down to Mexico to trip out their pill addiction, and it's pretty interesting to see because I had some family members who had some problems with hard drugs, and one of my family members was really thinking about sending his kid to go and try that ibogaine because it was getting so bad. So even like it's kind of bleeding into more mainstream and even religious groups of like, hey, maybe psychedelics can help out with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but the fact that they're like what the fuck is that? Iboga?
Iboga, I believe, is kind of the more ritualistic, kind of the more.
So is it a plant? Then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So it is still
ibogaine is I believe, like the way that you would say it in English, and I think that's the medical term for it. But I think the actual name for it is iboga, IBOG or something.
Dude, yeah, I'll have to look into it. I mean, because it sounds like they go there and they just like get scared straight.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. You said the mushrooms just put the problem right here.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing about fucking people who have no idea what they're talking about with mushrooms is they think it's just whoa, I'm fucking woo, but it's like no, like to get to that heaven you have to go through hell. That's why people have bad trips, and bad trips normally stem from like being self-aware for the first time. Like you're so concerned about everything like around you, you become self-aware for the first time. And I think that's where a lot of bad trips come from. But all it is just putting shit right in front of you, and you have to resolve it. You have to get through it. You have to do it yourself. And that's why I like psychedelics, not because they're fun, but because they're good. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like a brainwash, like a washing of the brain versus a
being brainwashed. Exactly. Yeah. It's a reset button.
It's a reset button, dude. I love this. And like talking to someone that like has experience and knows this and has gained so many benefits from going through that. I feel like it's so cool to be able to hear it from your perspective, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that even watching this that have never even tried, and are maybe scared of becoming self-aware or scared of what will show up in their trips.
To be honest, you should be scared, because you like not like scared like I'm scared to do it, but even as someone who's been tripping for over a decade at this point, like I still get scared before doing it, because you know like what you're doing in your life that you shouldn't be doing. Like everyone's aware of it, but we put it in the back of our head. And so when I go and like put mushrooms in my mouth, I'm like, I know exactly what's gonna be. Like, I know exactly what the fuck it's gonna
like
start.
That file is gonna get pulled straight to the front.
That file I've tried to trash like 7 times. It's like, no, you gotta put your signature here.
Yeah, but it's like, no, sir. No, initial here.
Yeah, it's like so resolving things and figuring it out, and I think it's way more important than people. And humans have been doing psychedelics in their cultures since humanity began. It's something we started doing. We'll never stop doing it. So like, kind of why fight it type of a thing.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, realistically, having these conversations now is still ahead of its time in a way, because mushrooms are just now becoming legalized in the United States. So it's like, it's just actually a matter of time before the entire world has mushrooms legalized and things like that.
I think there's going to be there's going to be holdout states for a while, but I just don't think you can stop it, because like, what argument is there against it other than like the same argument for alcohol? It's like, you might do something stupid on it. It's like, okay, then take away alcohol.
Yeah, they're never gonna do that.
Fucking take away alcohol then.
Right.
At least a lot of my family members are my LDS family members understand that psychedelics are not as bad as alcohol, and I'm like, oh, thank God you at least understand that one.
Good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think as legalizations start to happen, it's gonna have the same effect on mushrooms that it had on cannabis.
It's gonna just
where like people are gonna start realizing, oh, maybe it's not so bad after all. It's like, yeah, we've been fucking saying that for 10 years. Jesus.
Yeah, well, it's longer than that, but
Yeah.
we've been saying it for a long, But do you know who William Randolph Hearst is?
No.
So you got that's like a big part of why weed and stuff is looked at the way it is. This guy was he made paper and clothing, and hemp was a huge competitor to him. So he used a bunch of his money and his influence to start telling people that like marijuana is the dangerous drug that, guys want to smoke and go have sex with your women or stuff. It's like, people are doing that anyways. Why are you bringing weed into this? But like, but William Randolph Hearst was like one of the big propaganda machines behind weed.
Like reefer madness?
Yeah, reefer. Exactly. That's what it is reefer madness. Like he was involved with that.
Wow.
And then, there's this record of Richard Nixon, like it's on recording of him being like, we can't make weed legal because then Jewish people would make money off of it. He's on record saying that.
What?
Dude, it's so wild. And you just like tell this to people, they're like, whatever. It's like, okay, fucking, I don't know what else to tell you, bro. Like, you've been brainwashed by Tricky Dick.
Right.
Like, come on, like by Richard Nixon. Like, come on.
It's like actually made it illegal because they didn't want people to capitalize off of it.
Yeah. One time my stepmom was like, weed kills your brain cells. And I was like, what? And she was like, weed kills your brain cells. I was like, okay. All right. Thanks, Miss Scientist. Like, what? Like, okay, say what you want about it, I guess,
Dude, yeah, man. No, I think we are definitely ahead of our time.
Yeah.
With the mindsets we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be the ones educating people, just learning about it 10 years from now.
Do it safely.
Yes, of course.
Be responsible.
Yes.
But just close your doors, put some blinds down, put on a fun vinyl, throw some candles on. It's hard to have a bad trip if you're in that setting.
Yeah.
We've done that multiple times together.
Yes. Set and setting are the most important
Yeah.
things. And I think that's sometimes what induces bad trips as well is being around people that you don't trust, being around energy that you don't trust, being in a place that you don't know. And like all these things and this is a very big tip where it's like, if you're going into psychedelics trying to get fucked up, you will get fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
In a bad way.
Not in a good way. That's actually very true. If you want to get fucked up, you'll get fucked up. But if you want to use them as a tool, it's just like a hammer. You can build a beautiful, desk with a hammer, or you can fucking kill someone with it. It's a tool. You got to use it right. You got to use it what it's for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad we talked about that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your boy Luca.
Yes.
I want to talk about Luca because Luca's been your boy for a long time now. And was he your first like solo pet?
First solo. Semi-solo pet. I got him with my ex at the time.
Yes.
Or my girlfriend at the time, now my ex. But I got him off eBay. We just typed in Chewini puppies, and an eBay post popped up, and it was like, getting rid of Chewini puppies. If they're not gone by this date, they're going to the pound. And so we drive over to the apartment.
Where was it?
It was in Phoenix.
Oh, it was in Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah. And we knock on the door. We're like, hey, we're here for the puppy. And they're like, which one do you want? We're like, we want the male. And the guy goes, oh. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, all right, but you're going to have to crawl on your belly while me and my wife pick up the couch, and you're going to have to crawl in the corner. So it's like, your couch is in the corner.
Yeah.
Luca would just stay in the corner under the couch, and all the other puppies were violently attacking each other, going crazy. And Luca was just under the couch, just calm
by
himself. So this couple lifted up the couch. I crawled under, grabbed the dog, pulled it out, and then got in the car, and he pooped right on me. And then I started crying. I was like, I love him so much. He pooped on me. I was like, I love him.
My baby.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a solid boy. Take him through like Walmart without a leash on, and he just follows right next to me and shit.
Yeah, he's always been a good boy, man.
He's been a good boy.
Yes.
He's been a solid boy.
He's been able to grow up with other pets in the teammate crew as well.
Lived with Theo for a while.
He did live with Theo for a little bit.
Obi, Koba.
Yep.
You know, the
Yeah,
gang.
man. Yeah. I feel like him, Koba, and Obi are like the OGs.
Yeah,
of
the dogs.
the OG dogs.
There's some dogs.
It's like,
I mean, they're all getting like 10 years old at this point. Like
Yeah.
Luca's gonna turn 9 in February. Obi and Koba are, I think, 10 or 11 at this
which
point.
is crazy to think about.
We saw them when they were puppies.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, it's like, you know, bigger dogs don't have as long as lifespan. So it's crazy to watch, you know, those dogs live their entire life kind of like separated a bit, but you know how the team is, we're all still together. And
Yeah.
but yeah, no, fucking that Luca guy is my favorite. Unfortunately, I have to say goodbye to him. Next month he's going back to Kentucky to live with my ex for a while, and then he'll be sent back over here. But yeah,
You guys do 6 months on, 6 months off, or something like that?
I think about a year
a year
at a time, back and forth. We're amicable. We're still friends. There's no problem. A lot of people, when I tell them that I share a dog with my ex, they're like, what the fuck, bro? It's like, I don't hate my ex. I don't know
Right.
what it's like with your ex, but I'm chill with her. So like,
Yeah, for sure.
we can still talk about our dog. Like,
Absolutely.
You know, we're adults.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that it's just like take them away
Oh,
from
yeah.
their ex, just like to spite them.
I
type
had
shit.
people saying, just take the dog and never talk to her again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with your brain,
Yeah,
bro?
it's like,
I
bro.
never once thought of that. Like,
That's
no,
fucked
it's not
up.
my dog. It's our dog. I'm not going to,
Yeah.
my toy. So, you know,
and then just ghost her.
yeah, that's
That's
evil.
crazy. Yeah,
That's
that's
evil.
crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
you fall in
I-
love with something and then
Yeah.
it's ripped out of your life, you know, by
Dude.
someone you thought you trusted. Fuck that. I ain't going to do that.
Dude, I know people that have had that happen to them.
Oh,
That's like
it's
that's
nightmare.
crazy. It's
It's
like
a
I've
nightmare.
known a girl that like their ex did that to them. They took their dog and just ghosted.
That's
Crazy.
Literal nightmare. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think my ex would ever do this, but like I still get that like scared thought, like she could just ghost me and never
Yeah.
give me my dog back. But
Yeah.
we're chill.
I
know that is back and
think
forth.
I think she knows he means just as much to you
Yes.
as he means to her.
That's the whole idea of the back and forth. Shared
Yeah.
custody.
shared custody, as we
Shared
call it in the legal
custody, yes,
system.
On the documents our lawyers gave us, it's called shared custody.
So talking about dogs, you found this boy.
Oh yeah, he's a good boy.
So let's bring him into the camera here. So this is Theo, everybody. If you haven't met Theo, he's the sweetest guy of all time.
He is one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met in my whole life. He's such a good boy.
So Bryce found him while working
Yes.
at a mobile home company.
Yeah, I'm a supervisor for a specialty contracting company that works on structures built above the ground. So that basically they have crawl spaces, which are usually spread out across, you know, in the rural areas.
So you were in a rural area
Yes.
by a women's prison
Outside
in
the women's
Mesa?
prison, no, outside the women's prison in like near Avondale.
Near Avondale.
Yeah, the
Okay.
farmlands
So
out
it's like west.
Litchfield Park, like
Okay.
that type of area. I'd have to go back and find exactly, but I'm just at my work truck, and so in my rear view mirror was the farm and then the women's prison. So I'm looking in the rear view mirror and I just see this pack of dogs just moving along this like farm road, and the dogs keep moving, just this big pack, and then Theo just takes a turn down the street and just starts peeing on everything. And then I get out of my truck and he just waddled right over to me, and like from there it was like he just didn't leave me. He just was there. I'd be like, "Come on, dog," and he'd be like, "Okay," and like following around. Just I don't know if I remember correctly, but I feel like he may have had some issue like with his butthole, like it was like swollen and like it was really bad looking
when you first got
when
him.
I first got him, and we took him, and you know, vets got him on meds and stuff, and he was doing good. But yeah, this little guy's just living that stray dog life outside, probably just wandering through the farmland, just eating whatever he could, you know, the scraps and stuff. But he was with a pack of bros, just cruising. But and then he didn't leave us, so we just threw him in the truck and took him with us. I knocked on a bunch of doors in that area and said, "Hey, is this your dog?" He's like, "No, there's a bunch of stray dogs that run around here." And so I've, you know, felt like I could take him.
Wow. And then you ended up taking him to the vet. You ended up checking for chips and
Yeah.
seeing if anyone like was looking for him. You
Nothing.
held on to him for a couple weeks.
Well, I mean, look at what is it? Like, it's definitely a mutt that was bred on the streets. Like, he's a beautiful boy, but what is it?
the sweetest.
The sweetest little boy. But so we had Theo, for I don't know how long, but we were thinking like we can't have a second dog. We have Luca. And then the first person I thought of was Harry, because I think maybe in passing you brought up something how you really wanted a dog, you really wanted like a little buddy or something.
And I had just got broken up with.
Oh yes, that is a great time to get a dog. Though.
Yeah, it was a perfect time to get a dog. Yeah,
there because they'll love you more than anything else could. But yeah, you were the first person that came up. We were like, oh, Harry. Yeah, and so then we called you, and I think that same night we brought him over, and
yeah, the rest is history, dude.
He's a good
I
boy.
still have the very first photo that was taken on that camera that you took.
Yeah,
in front of the fireplace.
Yes, sir.
Me
at the studio house,
yep,
right?
Yeah, that was like I think it was February 26th.
Yep. That's my birthday, actually.
Really?
Yeah, February 26th. Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Could have, yeah, I definitely remember it being February.
Yeah, it was I think it was end of February, something like that. I wrote the date on the Polaroid just so we didn't forget.
But I knew he'd be in a good home and get all the love, and plus, if I give him to a close friend, then I get to still see him regularly. So
yeah, exactly. Now here we are.
Yeah.
6 years later, he's a fucking 6-year-old.
He's a good boy.
Such a good boy, man.
He's a polite boy.
Yeah, man. He had some years that were a little
unpolite.
Yeah, he was a little fucking crazy at the beginning. But he learned quick, man. Yeah. He's I'm so thankful that you gave him to me, man.
Mutts and strays. I mean, on the farm we would get mutts and strays all the time. I can't even tell you how many dogs we had growing up. But I found that the mutts, mixed breeds, are just so much more able to be trained and less cocky, I feel, than kind of a pure breed. Man, pure breeds can just be shit sometimes. Like my dad got a puppy at the same time I got a puppy. Doug, my new dog, Doug. Mm-hmm. And Doug is literally classified as a super mutt from the genetic testing that we did for it. And my dad had this like nice fancy pure, and that dog was a demon.
Damn.
Demon.
And Doug's such a sweet guy.
He is a sweet little guy. Yeah. Doug is a good little boy. He does have an eating his own poop problem that we're working through, but he's still only like 16 weeks old. So he's still got some time to work that out.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big is he going to get? Do you know?
I honestly have no idea, because he's 1/3 Chihuahua, a quarter poodle, and a quarter min pin. So all still relatively small, but I don't know which one's going to dominate and how big he's going to get. Right now he's 4 pounds, but
yeah, I mean, because I saw him, was it Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So Super Bowl was the first time I saw him, and you had just got him.
He was like 3.7 pounds at that point.
Yeah.
And then when you just saw him again, he was like 4.1.
Yeah. So he's only grown like half a pound in
weeks,
3 months.
Yeah.
No, 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
I want him to stay that small boy.
That would be amazing, dude. And just have two little guys.
Yeah, well, 1 and then 2 and then 1. And then
yeah. Take it.
Yeah. Bro, when because my ex texted me a while ago and was like, hey, I'm going to fly in and get the dog on the 31st. I didn't text her back for like 24 hours because I was literally like having a mental breakdown. I was like, I need Luca.
Oh,
he's a good boy, but that's life though. You got to do some hard shit sometimes.
And that's why you got Doug too. Because you have Doug 24/7.
Yeah, cool. It's funny because my girlfriend now, all I do is like, I'll call her and I'll be like, what's Ugly doing? I just call it. He's an ugly little mutt, but I love him so much.
Yes. I'll put a picture of him up here so you guys can see.
Dude, the first picture I took of him, he's got like his like hair slicked back. He's like, it's just so, and Jimmy, our friend, when I sent it in the group chat that I got a dog, he's like, he looks like he just woke up and has been asleep for like 100 years or something like that. Like his face he's just so, but he's a good boy. He'll be a good boy. He just needs a little extra training.
Dude.
Luca picked up on shit so fast, but Doug, it's gonna be work for him.
Yeah, and Luca also had Koba and Obi to like learn from.
Doug has Luca to learn from.
Right. But
he's not learning.
Not for long.
Not for long.
He's gonna have to learn from the bunny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I have a rabbit.
Yes.
Oh yeah. My sister breeds rabbits for pelts and meat.
Yeah.
So
see, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Bryce has a crazy life. So Bryce also has a rabbit in his house, and he has 2 cats.
Two cats, a rabbit, and 2 dogs.
Yes.
Yes, a Californian, so all white, black ears, black paws, and then like piercing red eyes.
Yeah.
Fucking metal.
Yeah, super metal, dude.
Super metal.
Looks albino.
Yeah, she actually got out of her cage before I came here and went upstairs and is hiding under our bed. So that's what I got to do when I get home later is get the rabbit out from under the bed back to her. She has her own bedroom in my house. She has her own fucking room.
Yeah. Wait, like actual bedroom?
Yeah. So you saw the little habitat in the kitchen.
Yes.
That's because we had an inspector come and we did not tell the landlord that we have a rabbit and they can fine you for that. So we took it to my mom's farm for a night. Inspector came, brought it back. But yeah, my rabbit's got its own room in the house.
Oh,
and then we're going to
wow.
put it back up in its room.
Nice.
Mhm.
Very nice. Wait, so you own that house?
No. Our landlord doesn't
Oh.
know that there's, but
I see.
no. Dude, you can't buy a house right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you
fuck yeah,
can't buy a house right now.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your job a little bit,
Yeah.
just because it was crazy. Like I mentioned in the intro,
Mhm.
you fought rattlesnakes
Yes.
with sticks,
Snake catchers, sticks,
Yes.
little BB guns with laser sights on them, popping them underneath.
So this is crazy. So you work with houses that have crawl spaces.
Yes.
And in Arizona,
Yes.
obviously,
Mhm.
rattlesnakes, scorpions,
Yes.
spiders, all this shit.
Yes.
Talk about your experience.
So I got let go from a database management job. AI took my job in 2014. So now it's funny in 2024, people are like freaking out about it. I'm like, bitch, my job was taken away by AI in
10 years
2014.
ago.
I was just like basic data entry and like, stuff like that, doing basic, spreadsheet stuff. But my cousin was working for this company, Superior Home Pros. And at the time, it was like a halfway drug rehabilitation part construction company on suspended structures. So mobile homes or, like houses in Michigan have crawl spaces.
Mhm.
So houses up north in Arizona have them as well. So you crawl under these homes that nobody has been under for 60 years, sometimes 70 years, sometimes. The oldest house I've ever worked on was in 1924. So, I mean, it was a 100-year-old house. So you're going into these crawl spaces underground that nobody has been under for 50 to 100 years. And it's a whole ecosystem under there. I saw bugs and things that I didn't know existed before, like an Arizona tailless whip scorpion. They're basically like land crabs that have a whip and they can whip and grab bugs and pull them in. And then they have crab pincers and they pull them in, but then the rest of their body, like it literally looks like Ridley Scott's Alien was based off of these fucking things. They're fucking wild. I didn't know they existed. And it was like the size of my hand. And I'm just crawling through this crawl space, headlight, mask on, and I just see this thing just like creeping right in front of me. I'm like, I have no idea what. I had to Google search for like 30 minutes of just bugs in Arizona, scrolling until I could find that shit. I've never seen it before. Never knew it existed. And then same with camel spiders. Do you know what a camel spider is?
No.
Dude, camel spiders are horrifying. Instead of just having like a normal spider fangs like this, it has 4 of them. And they look like a scorpion, but they're a spider. So it looks like the body of a scorpion without the tail. And then it's got this weird cone head, and the cone breaks off into 4 teeth. And they can attack. I just saw some down on the border of Mexico. Literally on Tuesday, on Tuesday this week, I was at the border of Mexico working, and I saw a camel spider. So I gathered my guys under the house, my crew, and I grabbed the camel spider and I put it in the middle of us. I'm like, this is a camel spider. It's also known as a sun spider. Don't let it bite you. And just smashed it right in front of them. And then they can look at it and understand, yeah, they're poisonous. But most people don't know that they're here. These weird fucking things, because they live under places like mobile homes. So then under homes, a lot of snakes get under there. And when you're desperate for money and you want to look good for your company, they'll ask you to remove rattlesnakes. So you're not removing a rattlesnake like walking up to it with a stick, like a catching stick and pulling it up. You're army crawling. So you have to approach the rattlesnake on your belly. So our snake catcher is maybe about 3 feet long. So you're laying on your belly, staring at a rattlesnake, and you get one shot. You get one shot to grasp onto it because you are in their territory. They can move fast. You move slow when you're crawling on your belly. Luckily, I never had any close calls. I was always able to get them. But the scariest thing is, so you grab the snake, you crawl in this way. So your body's like this. You grab the snake. You can't turn your back to the snake. So your army crawling backwards, staring a rattlesnake down, pushing away, and it's trying to snake and wiggle its way out. And that's like the scariest 10 minutes of my life is holding on.
It takes you 10 minutes?
Sometimes. Bro, I have a video.
Oh my God.
I have a video. It's so we don't film many rattlesnake catches because it's so fucking dangerous. You need to just do it.
Yeah.
But I have a video of me catching like a 6-foot Gartner snake. And this thing, the strength that snakes have, you would have no idea. So like I'd grab the snake and I'd be crawling out and it would put maybe like this much up his body. So the snake would like make like this and it would wrap around the corner of something. And all my strength, I couldn't pull that snake away. And it just had like a small portion of its body, not even fully wrapped around something, just like around the edge.
It's just like grabbing
it.
it.
So it would be like just like this. And like I'm trying to pull it this way and the snake's body is like still like making a U shape. And just a small portion of the snake's body holding onto something, how strong they are would blow your mind. You have no idea. They're literally just a tube of muscle, and you don't realize like, oh, it's a snake. But those things are strong. I'll send you a video of me grabbing one and pulling one out. But
so you can put it in post, please.
Yeah. It's wild, man. I've stopped catching the rattlesnakes because it's not worth the money. So I just tell my boss, the owner of the company, like, hey man, just tell them to get a professional that actually has protective equipment to pull it out. But back when I first started, we were ripping those things out, like catching them, like we were so proud, like, oh, I got one, like all that kind of shit. But
dude, that's metal.
So when my second day on the job, this guy I was working with, he pulled a pistol out of his backpack and it had a red dot laser on it. Luckily, it was just a BB gun. Like it was a CO2 powered BB gun, but it didn't look like it. He's like, customer said there were snakes under their house, so I brought this. And so me and that guy were crawling underneath the mobile home, finding snakes, putting the red dot on them, and killing the rattlesnakes so we could go and do our work. So you're just doing your work, and there'd just be rattlesnake bodies. One time,
oh my God.
One time we find a rattlesnake under this customer's house, and it was just some hick, just redneck guy. And he's like, where's it at? We're like, down in this corner right here. He gets up, goes to his closet, pulls out a shotgun, crawls under the house with us. I have to tell my guys to pull back because this guy's going under with a shotgun. I'm under the house. I'm laying. This is my body. The snake's over here. The customer comes under the house, angles his body, shotgun in hand, and then me and my crew are right here. And he just under his house, not without a second thought, just shoots the snake under his house, and you can hear the shotgun pellets going ding ding ding, ding like around the steel framing of the home. This guy set off a shotgun underneath the house, and then the snake exploded. It immediately smelled like dude, literally, it was literally snake. Stuff hanging down, like guts went up and were like hanging down, and it immediately smelled like a fish market, like instantly. When that snake exploded, like all you could smell was like fish. It was wild. And then he blasted through like this paneling under his home. So he damaged his house to shoot the snake when we were like, yeah, someone can just go under there and grab it with a catcher. He just grabbed a shotgun, loaded it, laid down, no regard for any of my guys that were under the house, and just blast a rattlesnake to smithereens. Like we killed rattlesnakes a few times, maybe once or twice. But we would usually just set them off because you don't want to kill rattlesnakes. They're part of the system. But sometimes the customer wants you to kill them or whatever. But so we were like, we were just going to go and let it loose and it would have never came back, like that type of stuff. But that guy went under there and just blasted. Bro. Blasted
That
it.
sounds like a cartoon sketch.
Dude, this guy was a cartoon character. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my shotgun, good.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I got it. No problem. I'll be down there in a second.
Dude, that was a wild one.
Oh, man.
One time I opened up a hatch to go under a home, and this is something I actually wanted to get a tattoo of because it was fucking wild. Open up a hatch to get under the home, and we see a rattlesnake coiled. And the customer was like, you got to kill it. You have to kill it. I can't have it. I got dogs. I got children. I need you to take care of it right now in the middle of nowhere. So I'm holding the snake, and I hand the snake catcher to my coworker, and the customer got me a shovel. And I was just going to go and just swipe its head off. I go down to strike it, and it's being held back behind its neck. It opens its mouth. It whips its own tail around, bites into it as I'm going down and striking it. So I took off its head, and the head was still attached to the body. So it bit itself, head chopped off, and then it was doing like the wrangling with its head still attached to the body. And my girlfriend, my girlfriend, Kinsey, she's a hairstylist, and she does this guy's hair, and he has some sort of association with some snake organization. And I told him about that story, and I see it was like mouth drop. He's like, you saw that happen? I was like, yeah, I have a picture of it. He's like, you need to send that to me right now. I have to get this to like people that I know, because we hear stories about rattlesnakes like poisoning themselves when they think they're going to be eaten. So they poison their meat, so whatever eats it dies from the poison. So it sends its own venom through its own bloodstream, then it gets into its muscles and the meat that you eat. And so it's kind of like a death from the grave.
It's like a martyr.
It's like a martyr rattlesnake version.
Oh
so
God.
I never heard anything back from him, but he, like, when I told him that, like, this guy that has some sort of close association with some sort of snake organization, but I remember his face going like, you saw that? I was like, yeah. He's like, you have to send me that picture.
That's crazy.
I'll try to send you the picture.
Please,
it's a wild
dude.
Picture. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, to witness that would be absolutely
I literally
nuts.
just stood there like watching it just wriggling. It was so surreal with its own head attached to its own body, and then its headless corpse just like slithering with its own head stuck to it. It was fucking wild. So dude, I wanted to get that tattoo of like a snake with like its head chopped off and then its own head like biting into it on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a sick ass tattoo. That's a cool story too. Just like I saw this happen in real life.
No, this happened to me. No, I did this. Dude, it was there's some wild wildlife stories, at the company, but I'm grateful for it. It's just all travel, hard labor, learning from, farm life, working hard, doing stuff like that. And then I went from being a desk jockey, like crunching numbers, to fucking battling rattlesnakes. It was a wild jump.
Dude, fuck yeah. But like one parallel is true. Like you've always been a hard worker.
Yeah.
And that's something that was instilled in you as a kid, really. So
you had to be.
Yeah.
Like you were doing physical labor probably at 7, 8 years old. Like, like real physical labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
child labor shit.
So so it wasn't like you were like a senior in high school just getting his first job like some kids were. You know what I'm saying? After
working on that farm, pretty much any job is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be Saturday morning. You go out to start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you would be done at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was like, there was no other kids doing that. Like I'd go to school. I couldn't be like, yeah, I mean, I was mowing lawns for 6 hours, and then I helped sort fruit and package fruit. And then I helped deliver the fruit, and then I played video games. And then I watched fucking Bear in the Big Blue House. I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
dude, the kids are like, okay, Bryce, we're going to go over here. You stay here.
My girlfriend, I told her this. I remember one time in elementary school, I was getting dropped off on the bus, and this one kid just yells, back of the bus, something. And he's like, why do you live on a farm? And I was like, I don't know. I just fucking live here. I don't know what you want. Like, why do you live on a farm? Okay.
Judging.
And so the bus stop. So we open our front door. We have this big giant lawn. And then the main road, and we had pecan trees lining this big piece of grass property we had.
Hell yeah!
And the javelinas would go and eat the acorns when they fall, or the pecans when they fall. And I would have to walk by just javelinas to get to my bus stop. And my mom's friend just recently, or someone she knew, got attacked by a javelina in Sedona, and she called me. She's like, I don't know why I made you walk next to them. I'm so sorry. I was like, yeah, it was pretty weird that you just sent your son out to go walk by wild boars to go to school.
Yo, you were not living the same childhood as all these other kids, dude.
Fucking crazy story about javelina. So one day we're opening the door to go to school, me and my brother, and we open our front door, and there's a severed javelina head on our doorstep.
Dude, that's some mob shit.
Dude, it was wild. Like, we just, like, what the like, why the fuck is there a javelina's head? This story is going to go into a direction you did not expect.
Oh, God.
So we grab the javelina head, we just, like, chuck it to the side, and we go to school.
Right, of course, yes.
Yeah, it was a Friday.
We'll deal with that later.
I remember it was a Friday. So we got home from school, and I had my cousin Connor come over to hang out, and my brother had his friends come and hang out. And we were like, oh, let's go throw the javelina head in the Salt River. like, okay, let's go throw the javelina head in the river.
Because it's something to do.
Something to fucking do. It was something we got a javelina head, there was a river. We figured we could go throw it in the river. So the Salt River, it was dry at the time. So I hop in the truck with my brother, his friends, and my cousin, and I had a box of matches in my pocket. We go and we go to the river. It's pitch black. The only light is from the moon and the stars because you're on a fucking farm. There's nothing else around you. And I'm taking matches and I'm putting them on my thumb and like shooting them, you know, like how kids shoot matches. But I was like stomping them out, like nothing was happening. And I look down in the river and I see people hiding, like these just black shadowy figures from this distance. So we're on the top of the bank. The river's very deep. They're down here and they're hiding behind a boulder. And I'm like, hey guys, there's people, and you'll see why the matches make sense later. I'm like, there's people down there hiding. And my brother and his friends were like, oh, shut up, Bryce. And my cousin Connor was in his own la la land. And I was like, guys, look right there. There is fucking people in this river. They're hiding from us. They're not supposed to be here. It's closed off property. It's our, you know, we know that they're not supposed to be there. No one believes me. There's not a single person in that whole group of my brother's friends and my cousin. No one will listen to me. No one will look down there at the people hiding. Like, oh, we'll chuck the javelina head in the river. And then we go home. My aunt, maybe an hour later, comes barging through the door. Looks like she saw a ghost. And she's like, the farm's on fire. And I was like, oh no. I was shooting those matches. But I was like, I was stomping everyone out. Like I knew I was a Boy Scout. Like I knew that what I was supposed to do. My brother told my dad that I was lighting matches. And so my dad goes out the backyard, sees this massive fire billowing out of our farm. He sits me down and he just starts railing into me. He's like, you cost your family your livelihood. You destroyed everything your family built, all this type of stuff. And I'm like, I didn't do it. There were people in the river. I promise. And they're like, don't lie, Bryce. I'm like, there were people in the river and no one would believe me. So we finally get to a point where the fire trucks arrive. So we hop back in the trucks, drive over there. The fire was nowhere near where we were, and we were lighting matches. And my brother told my dad, he's like, this is nowhere near where we were. And I'm like, there were fucking people in the river. Like, so there were people outside of our farm. And then as soon as we were gone, they went up and started it on fire. And I was begging people to just look in the river at these people that were obviously hiding. Like, I can't, even to this day, the frustration I feel that no one would believe me or no one would look, no one would listen to me. And I was like, I just was so vindicated. I was like, I know it.
Yeah, it's like,
did it.
I could have prevented this fire.
Dude, and then it was so wild. It was like, I could not get a single person around me to look at what I was looking at. Like, they were so off, like, oh, fucking Bryce, you know, let's not listen to him. And then look what happened. They started a fucking fire on our farm. And damn. So I don't know if I ever got a real apology from my dad.
But if you're watching this, I would like that.
I told him that I was coming to do this, and I was like, he's like, oh, cool. Where can I watch it? I'm like, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not watching it. Yeah. You're not watching it.
On marspod.com/ep39.
I'll send it to him. I'll tell him to subscribe at least.
Dude, so this has been awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
Dude.
Thank
I
you.
feel like we've been running through this so quickly.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like no time at all. But I wanted to talk about how you've always been a fan of pods. I feel like you were always early to it, like Two Bears, One Cave, Your Mom's House, Tom Segura, all of them.
Oh yeah.
When did you start listening to pods?
Steven Setner, a good friend, he told me about a podcast called Radio Lab. I think when I was 19 years old. So 2011 or 12 or something like that.
Is audio only.
Audio only. Yeah. It was that app on everyone's,
the podcast app.
Yeah, that no one ever used. No one ever fucking clicked.
Yeah.
He told me about Radio Lab because there was this crazy podcast about trees and like how like trees like actually eat meat. Like they'll like source out, salmon carcasses, and you can even see pink rings in trees because of the salmon that the tree ate. And so I was like, that's the wildest shit I've ever heard. So that was like when I started listening to it. And then he told me about Joe Rogan's podcast. I was listening to Joe Rogan when they were still on the couch, just sitting on a couch and the one camera in there. And so I mean, I definitely wasn't at like the ground level, but I was listening to podcasts for, episode 1 of Two Bears, One Cave. I remembered I was stoked that it was coming out because I was like a big fan of podcasts. So even episode 1 was like a big thing for me.
Yeah, because I remember the Two Bears, One Cave specifically. Like you were on that so early.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're on anymore. Like episode like 400 something.
Yeah. I mean, they have a whole Your Mom's House studio.
The studios, yeah.
Where it's just like then Danny Brown has a podcast.
Yeah, the Danny Brown show's pretty good actually.
It is pretty good.
It's fun.
Yeah, dude. No, so it is kind of like a full circle thing for you to be on a pod.
I never thought I would ever do a podcast, but just find a friend who has a studio and do one with him. Don't do any work yourself. Just make someone else do all the work. And then go and have fun.
Dude, well, I'm thankful that you took the time because your story is so cool. And I feel like a lot of people would find this episode entertaining. I definitely have had a good time just talking to you. And it's funny because a lot of this stuff, we've known each other for almost 10 years now. Yeah. And a lot of these things, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, so it's so
there's
cool.
A lot more.
Yeah, and that's so cool. Like, I can, like, even, like, some of your greatest friends, like, you can talk to them and, like, always have, like, conversations.
Yeah.
Like,
something new
learn something new. Yeah.
This is something catches your eye, opens up another memory lane, and then you can just go down that one and find stories. But, yeah, it was fucking, it was a wild, I didn't think it was weird growing up. The stuff I saw, stuff we did, but now that I'm a 31-year-old man looking back, I'm like, that was weird. Oh, one thing real quick, that I just found out, that my farm that our family for 3 generations have lived on, my grandfather raised my mother, my mother raised us, and my brother raised his kids in that same farmhouse. It recently was torn down, our entire farm basically torn down. My grandpa passed away, selling land, that whole business to a company called Blandford Homes. And they raised our entire family property. So a shell of what it used to be. And they left it there, just deserted, nothing, no homes were being built. And then all of a sudden, these giant dirt mounds started popping up, not normal for like a construction site. And we had no idea what was going on. We had no idea why they tore down our family property, all the farmland, and didn't do anything with it. So we found out that farm was actually built over a Native American burial ground. So I grew up on a Native American burial ground. My mother did, I did, and my brother's kids all grew up on a Native American burial ground. Like the plot line to Pet Sematary by Stephen King, like literally the same shit.
Do you ever recall like spiritual shit?
I don't believe in ghosts. I actually just talked to my mom about this. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in, I'm very agnostic when it comes to spiritual things. But, and my brother might deny this. He might say I'm making it up, but he also didn't believe me that the fucking people were down in the river and they started a fucking fire. But not once, but multiple times I woke up and we had big windows in my room, like massive windows. Like more of the wall was window than wall in some spots, but I just see a shadowy figure. There's no defining characteristic. I could have been asleep, but I know my brother saw it too because we talked about it multiple times. Just multiple figures just standing in front of windows and then just going away. And I just thought they were fucking just random people. But, you know, my mom's like, oh, they could be skinwalkers. Those are, Native American folklore type of things. They're supposed to be like happy entities, things like that. But I would say like that would be the most closest thing to a weird experience that I had. And I don't even know, I could have been half asleep. I could have been dreaming. I definitely know me and my brother talked about it happening, and he acknowledged, he's like, yeah, there was people outside the window. But yeah, so I would say that's pretty wild. But my mom said it best. She's like, wasn't there always just a nice energy in the farmhouse? And I was like, it always was comfortable. It always felt like home. Damn. I never felt like, it was sketchy or anyway, but finding that out was pretty wild that our entire, they had to have like archaeologists come and excavate all the bodies. Like my mom didn't just call it a burial, she called it a cemetery when she first told me. She's like, yeah. And then they found the cemetery. And I was like, wait, what cemetery? She's like, oh yeah. They were excavating and they found a bunch of bodies. So
it's like, oh yeah, those dirt mounds. Yeah, that was them digging up bodies.
That was them digging up bodies. Literally, holy like shit. Where I would like play on my little basketball court. Like there was like bodies underneath it. Had no idea.
Bro. Yeah. That is trippy. Just so like the visual.
The farm stories are still happening years after I've left it. So it's pretty wild.
Damn, dude. Yeah. God, just another notch in the crazy life of Bryce Smith.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So as we close out here, man, what are you excited about in life now? Like what's coming up? What do you got anything going on? That
a lot of friends exciting? Getting married. Yes. So that's a lot of fun.
That is.
It's weird. It's exciting, boring 30-year-old shit that's like, whoa. It's like, whoa, thinking about buying a house. like that type of stuff is exciting. It's like, I don't know. I am genuinely excited because I feel like I've grown into a man at this point, and I feel very stable in who I am and what I believe and the things that I've done and seen. And it just is, I'm ready for more crazy stories.
Yeah, man. I love it, dude. It's beautiful to see, like, even though like the line is like been like in so many different places in your life, and you've always like kept the same energy the whole time. Hardworking, good energy, positive.
Thank you.
Keeping yourself like happy and like as best as you can, and it's like keeping everyone else around you happy. So, dude, this is amazing. This is so much fun, dude.
Thank you.
Of course, dude. And my fellow Martians, if you want to go follow Bryce online, you can go follow him at BRyce93.
But I'll hit that follow back.
He might just screen the request.
I'll let anybody in.
Maybe not though.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
I'll sift through the possibilities.
Yeah, but either way, I thank you so much for watching and listening to Bryce tell his amazing story. Yeah, man. So to fucking the teammate crew, bro. Yes, my fellow Martians, thank you again so much. We love you, and we'll see you next time on Mars. Peace.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod, and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.
Check. Yeah, sounds good. Check. Cuán asombroso es que por amarme así muriera él por mí. Cuán asombroso es lo que dio por mí. Tal como un fuego se veía ardiendo el Santo Espíritu. poppin' peas. Fiji, the number one water in podcasting.
Yeah, boy.
There we go. There we go. It's not very comfy up here, man.